Welcome back to another episode of All or Nothing in Real Estate. I'm your host, Matt Smith, founder of All or Nothing in Real Estate. Guys, we've got a very, very special podcast for you today, trying something different. We're doing a mashup of common themes that we have seen over and over and over and over again that have led to success that you guys have shared. You had big takeaways, things that worked really, really well. And there's three pillars. So those three pillars of success are action. We're in the action economy. You have to take action. There's too many people getting ready to get ready. You have to put in the work. You have to take action. Number two, relationship building. We are in the relationship business. The more relationships you build, the better depth of relationships you build, the more business you will have. And last but certainly not least is accountability. You have to have a high level of accountability, both for yourself personally and the organization you're a part of. And if you stack those three things together, you will have a recipe for success. Guys, super excited for you to listen to this new style of episode. Please give me your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, give today your all. I understand it's difficult. I get it. I feel for you. I'm in it. I promise you, I understand. But the reality is, if you don't focus on solutions and all you care about is the problems, and you don't actually want to solve any of those problems, you're just whining. The average touch per lead to closing is 26. That's the average. How many of us get a lead that come in and they're ready to go buy today, and we go show them property, and now they're under contract? That's less than 26. Probably a lot of them. So that also means the opposite is also true, that there's a lot of them that take 50 plus touches to close. And so I think it's just a reminder, especially in today's world, you don't need more leads. You need to call less leads more.
The shiny object that you need, not the one that you want, it's called a freaking mirror. If you're not where you're at, where you want to be right now, it's because you're not willing to look in the mirror and accept extreme personal responsibility, because you are where you are because of the choices, decisions, and habits that you have.
This was very interesting. I think everyone can learn from this. So this is from Digital Maverick. Travis Halverson shared this from stage. They are in over 80 of the top databases in the world every single day, helping them with conversion, with ISA, database conversion management, all kinds of like smart list, all this stuff. They're genius. That's what they do. Okay. And what he said is that across all those 80 databases, there's one consistent theme. The average touch per lead to closing is 26. That's the average. How many of us get a lead that come in and they're ready to go buy today, and we go show them property, and now they're under contract? That's less than 26. Probably a lot of them. So that also means the opposite is also true, that there's a lot of them that take 50 plus touches to close. And so I think it's just a reminder, especially in today's world, you don't need more leads. You need to call less leads more. The quality of the lead is determined by the follow-up and the skill set of the agent that has it, period. And I say this with all the respect in the world. If you give me a lead and you give an agent that doesn't follow up, doesn't know scripting, doesn't have skill, the same lead, you do that 100 times, I'm going to out-convert them 10x plus. It's the same lead. And you probably would do the same. Right. And so I say that to give you a different perspective of we're chasing more leads or better leads. And that's not the answer. It's you need to convert leads better. That's the name of the game. And that's what owning your database really helps you with. Another thing. Like, go ahead.
Okay, it's just like, and this is kind of the alignment that I was talking about, but it's just like what we said with copywriting. You can't give up too soon. If you are following up, and that's where I think a lot of people struggle. You follow up once, twice, 5 times, and they say no each time. And you just are like, well, this sucks. Never mind. I'm done. Like, you've given up way too soon at that point. So
well,
that's
like, let's get in the head of the consumer. What's going on in today's society? This isn't a follow-up podcast, but this is important. I want you guys to have value from this. And if you're an agent that gets stuck here, I get it. I am an agent. I have a real estate license. I prospected alongside my team yesterday and I'm doing call night with them tonight. I get it. I'm in the trenches with you. But the difference between you and I is I understand at an in-depth level, it is my job to follow up with them. It is not their job to follow up with me. If selling real estate was as easy as I pick up the phone and they say, I'm ready to go look at houses, I wouldn't have a podcast because everyone would sell real estate, right? Like it's just, that's not the game. That is not how this business works. And like, here's an analogy. I think shoe stores still exist here and every now and then. I buy all mine online, but I think they still exist. And so back in the day, I remember my mom used to take me shopping for high school every year, back to school shopping. And I got a new pair of shoes every year. When we walked in the shoe store, I can still smell it, right? The leather when you walk in, smell of a shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk in the shoe store and the doorbell, the ding, ding, you walk in. What do they say every time when you walk in, Jenna?
How can I help you?
And
They'll be finding
without
anything.
fail, they say, how can I help you? Oh, I'm just looking. Guys, I walked in a shoe store knowing I was going to buy a new pair of shoes, exactly what size I am, exactly what brand I need. I know exactly what I'm there for. And I tell them I'm just looking. These leads are in your shoe store. They raised your hand. And so if you realize that and you can just adjust your mindset and you can provide value, you can give and build depth of relationship, build rapport, build trust, and deposit into that person, then you can ask for a withdrawal. And I think it's so important that we just realize that analogy with if we want to convert leads at a higher level, like that's the secret. What is your average? And I'll tell you something else. Here's another thing. This wasn't at the event, but it's the same topic. We had a call with someone else that is kind of the script queen or conversion queen of the same company. Absolutely blew me away. Phenomenal, by the way. Shout out to Nikki. You're amazing. But she said that there's one commonality in these 80 databases, 80 plus that they manage. Of the top agent on all of those teams have one thing in common. Their average contact attempt per lead is higher than everyone else. Success leaves clues. Quit trying to call more leads and speed and spread. You need less leads. You need to understand their motivation. You need to build depth of relationship and help guide and lead them through the process. That's how you sell real estate. If you don't make that adjustment, you're going to struggle in this market. All right. We're all over the place today. I think this is my show, right? I'm not following. Jenna built a framework and everything. And I'm like, oh, I'm way off.
Well, actually, I was going to say, I actually think that this is the perfect transition to the other big thing. I think both of you or both of us got out of this event, which is leadership to agent relationships and agent accountability. And the reason why it's such a great transition, the way you're speaking about, how we are to nurture leads, that depth of relationship, following up with them, having that engagement with them, like it mirrors perfectly to leadership to agents and how we need to be interacting with our agents too. Really,
really good. Funny enough, I had a coaching call this morning with a brand new coaching client that hired me at that event. And he's just really struggling personally. And he's frustrated with his agents and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. And we had a really, really personal conversation, went depth, and helped him afterwards. Like he was just down in the dumps afterwards. He was smiling and he was just full of energy. He's like, we got a plan. Let's go execute. Which is why he's successful. But what we unpacked is leadership's a mirror. And so what Jenna just said is everything that I just shared about following up with buyers and sellers. If you are a leader listening, all of those same things apply because your agents are your buyers and sellers. And so one of the things that I had as an aha, because in Tahoe, I actually I am an outdoors person. And you guys can probably imagine, I'm just on the go all the time. And so what I did the day before the event is I went, and Tahoe is beautiful. And so I went and I just I said, I'm going to go walk some trails and I'm going to just get some me time. I don't do that enough. And so what I did, usually I have a podcast going or an audio book and I'm just learning. And I said, I'm not bringing any of that. And I'm just going to be with myself. which for someone like me is really, really scary. Just to be with myself because my thoughts are scary. But what I did was over time, like just being in nature, I just really unpacked like what do I need to do? Where's the next step for me? What do I need to actually, what am I looking for from this event to go back and apply? And it was really simple. The aha that I had, and again, there's a big, long thought process to this, many, many miles of hiking, but it's really, really simple. The answer I came up with is I've been coaching and preaching to my agents for 18 months now. You have to build depth of relationship. That's what wins. But I've gotten away from that as a leader. And I'm focused on the process, and I'm focused on their numbers and their KPIs and their scripts. And it was just a reminder to me as a leader is that I need to practice what I preach, and they are my clients. And so what am I doing to build depth of relationship with them? What is my quote unquote average contact attempt per agent? How often am I communicating with them proactively on a human to human level, not just a coaching conversation? And there's a lot that I can unpack there, but I think it's really, really important that it's a lesson that we can all take away from that is that there are people that, again, everyone is a leader to someone. And how are we leading them? What are we doing to build better relationships with people? Because we're in the relationship business.
All right, this is an equation. You guys should take a picture of this, and I'll explain what this means. When I started my organization, I said, I don't want our organization to sell people. I want to help people. People don't want to be sold. I want to help them. So anytime in an organization we would correct someone if they said, hey, we're going to sell this or sell that, that was a cuss word in our organization. We corrected them. You mean you were going to help them? We did that for years and years and years. Here's the problem. In this new market, people still don't want to be sold. People don't even need your help in this marketplace. They need you to lead them through the process. Stop being a helper and start being a leader. When you do that, your business will change. All right, we're here to talk about lead conversion. I'm just going to get some stuff out of the way. None of you have a lead generation problem. How many of you want more sales by show of hands? No alligator arms, lift them up. We all want to sell more real estate. That's why you're here, right? Well, if you don't have enough sales, what do we all think we need? Not enough sales, we need more what? But when do more leads equal more sales? When? We're shooting at the wrong target. More leads don't equal more sales. It's the conversion of the leads that matter. So you don't have a lead generation problem, you have a lead conversion problem. Now that we know the problem is, let's solve it. In order to convert leads, you need to understand the psychology of the buyers and sellers. It's a big word, but you need to understand the behavior of the people. They're just humans that are looking to buy or sell real estate. So let's break that down. First and foremost, scripts don't work. Just a fact. Should there be talk tracks? Should there be dialogues? Should there be things to remind you? Are there strategies? Are there tactics? Absolutely. But outdated sales scripts do not work because you're reading from a page instead of having a conversation with a human. You can have the best script on the planet, and I'm going to give you some scripts today. But if you don't get this part, the script won't work. The conversation that you have with a human is 95% of the problem. Spend 95% building relationship and having a conversation with the human on the other end of the phone, and only 5% in your sales script. The conversation, if you have the best script on the planet, but you don't have a great conversation, it's not going to work. But if you have a terrible script and you have a great conversation, there's still a chance, right? So focus on the conversation, not the script. We're trying to solve the wrong problem. So what makes a great sales conversation? Get rid of the word sales. I think in today's society, we forgot how to have a conversation with a human. How do you build a relationship and rapport and build trust with a human? We forgot how. I'm going to break it down for you. You guys should take a picture of this. I say this quote all the time. If you make a friend, you make a sale. Pretty simple. Stop trying to sell people. Start being friendly. Build a conversation. Build a relationship. If you make a friend, you make a sale. Have you ever made a friend that was a lead that came in and you didn't sell them something? Very rare. But the clients that if I asked you, hey, who are your 5 favorite clients you've ever worked with? You probably have them on speed dial. You're their best friends. They probably send you referrals all the time. You know why? You had a conversation, you built relationship with that human. Make a friend, and then the sales will come. So how do you make a friend? You got to build rapport and trust. I'm going to go through this quickly. How do you build rapport and trust? This is simple stuff, guys, but I just want to break this down so we understand. You got to show genuine, authentic interest. Are you genuinely interested in them? Are you being authentically you? Are you putting your mask on and trying to sell them something? Find common ground, pretty simple. Make the conversation feel natural and personal. Mirror and match energy and tone. That's a big one. Mirror and match energy and tone. I think great salespeople are chameleons. You have to be careful. You still be authentic and be genuine. But if someone talks really slow and really soft, and you come in talking like an auctioneer, it's not going to work. These things matter in the conversion of leads. You can't build rapport and trust with someone if you don't mirror and match their energy and tone. Active listening. Active listening. Not pretending to listen. Active listening with empathy. You have to actually understand their problems, their pain. Uncover their real needs, their desires, their pain points. People buy because of two things. Pain or pleasure. They're moving away from pain or they're moving towards pleasure. Do you know that for the person that you're working with? It's pretty simple, right? This is simple, but so many agents miss this. Acknowledge their concerns. Have you guys ever listened to a call? Maybe you've been a part of a call where you felt like you were fighting against the person on the phone? Fighting against? It was you versus them? Here's my analogy that I use. So I'm from Missouri, and in Missouri we have fences and neighborhoods, and it's like one fence separates the two neighbors. And so in a sales conversation, there's a fence separating you and the prospect in this situation. Instead of arguing back and forth over the fence and playing this weird tennis match, what if you just open the gate, walk around? I'm on your side of the fence here. I got you. I'm here to work with you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to lead you. Quit arguing with your prospects. You need to acknowledge their concerns. Their concerns and their perception is what really matters. What you say does not matter. What they hear is everything. Listen to understand versus listening to reply. You guys have heard this over and over again, but too many times, and I'm guilty of this too. They say something I want to interrupt because I have this big zinger that I want to interrupt and tell them. But that's about us. That's ego. That's not about helping them. Listen to understand versus listen to reply. You guys should take a picture of this. This is communication circle. I need to get a better graphic of that. But this is how people receive communication. If you want to build relationships with people, you want to sell, you want to convert, you need to understand this. John talks about copy, and copy is important. It's crucial. But when you're on the phone with someone, is the script the most important part? Not a chance. If you don't believe me, so the words that you say in a conversation with someone are only 7% of the equation. That means there's 93% chance they're going to misunderstand or misinterpret what you're trying to deliver. You don't believe me? Have you ever got a text from someone? It could be your significant other, it could be your friend, it could be someone. And you're like, what in the hell? Why is Jordan mad at me? And I go and call Jordan. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Have the best conversation ever. I'm like, dude, what was up with that text? He's like, what are you talking about? Does that ever happen? How many times does that happen with your prospects? You're trying to sell through text messages. 38% is your tonality. The tonality that you have. That's why, again, you mirror and match their tone. So that's only 45% of the equation, by the way. That's why phone calls are better than text. That's why you can sell better. It's because you have 45% chance of delivering your message. You can share your excitement, your energy way better over the phone with your tonality than you can through a text. But the biggest one of this circle is your body language. What have you heard over and over and over again? Video text. What I like to say is you got to get face-to-face with people. Belly button to belly button. I looked up the stat, and it's actually increased. I looked it up this morning. According to the AI that gave me the answer, 71% of home buyers work with the first agent they meet in person. It used to be 67%. 71%. Why is that? Does that mean that all those agents are good? They're just first. And they have a 100% shot versus you sending outdated emails that you don't even know what they say or text messages as templates because you're automating yourself versus them having a 100% chance of having the conversation, right? So again, a reminder, you don't have a lead generation problem, you have a lead conversion problem. Here's another problem that we have. You guys have too many leads. you don't believe me, I did this with my organization, and I was talking to a couple people that I highly respect out in the hall, and we just cut all of our lead spend in half on everything that we do. We have enough leads in our database. We just need to convert them better. We don't need new leads. What's more valuable? A new lead that comes in that is just in the curiosity phase, or a lead that came in 18 months ago that comes back and revisits the site? Which one's more valuable? Then why do we care about new leads? And I'm not saying you don't need new leads, but for perspective, you guys with me? We misprioritize that we need new leads. New leads don't equal more sales. We've already established that. Too many leads also dilute the ability for you to build quality relationships and follow up effectively. I learned this from Alex Cheplak. More isn't better. More is not always better. More leads we think equals more sales, but in reality, we all agree it does not. But better is always better. So how can you have better conversion? How can you have better conversations? How can you build better relationships with the people that already know, like, and trust you? Sounds really, really simple, but it works. I'll show you proof in a minute. Make sure you go deep, not wide. Too many of us spread wide, and we throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. You need to have depth of relationship. You need to understand your business. You need to understand your lead generation. You need to understand your lead conversion. You need to go deep on those things. You can't do it all. I'll just tell you, my business included, everybody up here, if you just had an honest conversation, they would tell you that they feel like their business is an absolute shit show. But we think in the crowd that, hey, the people on stage have everything together. We don't. We're human. We're not perfect. But there are a few things that we obsess over and we have mastered. And we have gotten better and better and better because we realize we can't solve all the problems, but we can solve the most pressing one. And I think you guys are here to solve the problem of converting leads, right? So go deep on those things, not wide. Here's an example. Greg, phenomenal masterclass yesterday on seller lead conversion. I've been focusing on my business for about 18 months, and he just completely overhauled everything that I'm doing. And I'm with him. I'm all in on that. But a study that I learned when I was on this journey is that 5% of your database will list their home in the next 12 months. By show of hands, how many of you have 10,000 or more leads in your database? Cool. I know some of you in the room didn't raise your hands. You don't want to participate. That's cool. I know you have more than 10,000. But my point being is, well, we need more seller leads, so we need more listings. 5% of the people you already have, you've already paid for, you've already marketed to, you've already probably had conversations with, are going to list their home in the next 12 months. Last time I checked, that's 500 listings. Why do we need more seller leads? Why don't we re-engage the people that we already have? Real estate's a contact sport. Too many people are just scared to meet with people or scared to get hung up on, or I don't want to bug them. 71% of people, of home buyers, work with the first agent they meet in person. And most of those agents, they're not in this room, they're probably not learning. They're probably people like we heard on those phone calls. Right? They're still getting the business because they're getting out of their comfort zone and they're meeting with them face to face. Growth is uncomfortable. This market is uncomfortable. It's a contact sport. You got to get face to face. Or like I like to say, and I was going to do a picture, but they were just all gross, so I didn't do it, but belly button to belly button. I was actually Googling that in the back of the room yesterday. I'm like, I can't do that. But you got to get belly button to belly button with buyers and sellers, right? Face to face. Have a conversation. All right. This right here is everything you need to know on how to convert leads. If you don't take a picture of this, I can't help you. This is a sophisticated communication framework that will crush your outdated script every single time. I could spend 3 hours going over this. I'll give you scripts, I'll give you dialogues, I'll give you tactical things, but if you don't understand this at depth, the scripts won't matter. So how do you have a sophisticated communication framework? Number one, seek first to understand, then be understood. Seek first to understand, then be understood. My 7-year-old daughter knows that. She learns it in school. But somehow we forget it as salespeople. We want to throw our agenda down their throat. It's not about us, it's about them. Every human being on the planet operates on the same radio frequency, WIFM. What's in it for me? We all do. We're all selfish beings. So if we know that's a fact, why do we tell them how good we are instead of ask them what is important to them? What are your pains? What are your pleasures? Seek first to understand, then be understood. Number 2, handle objections in advance. Rookies wait for objections. Pros handle them in advance. Let me give you an example. Used to be just on sellers, but it's in buyers in today's society as well, because you got to have an agreement with everyone you meet with. How many agents, and I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands because you're going to lie, but most agents are scared to death to ask them this question that is so powerful. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm just curious. Are you going to be interviewing other agents for this job? Oh my God, you might plant the seed. They hadn't thought about it before until I brought it up. Come on. But if you say that with confidence and you know, and if they do want to interview other agents and you're not the best fit, do you really deserve that business anyway? Are you doing this for you or to help people? Quality of the lead is determined by the skill and the will of the agent. And if you're scared to compete, you should probably look at that shiny object called the mirror. Number 3, base your next question on their response. Listen to understand versus listening to reply. I can give you the best script on the planet, but if you don't understand this one, there's not much I can do to help. This is why scripts don't work, because people want to read from top to bottom. But do conversations always go from A to B to C? Sometimes they go from A to X to Z, back to C. You got to base your next question on their response. Does that say base your next shitty sales line based upon what they say? No. Base your next question on their response. There's a simple framework that everyone should follow. I didn't put it in the slide, but it just popped in my head. You guys should write it down. Answer, ask, and then acknowledge ask. You want to build a conversation with someone? Answer their question, ask another question, acknowledge what they said, ask another question. Number 4, allow them to be the hero of their own story. It's not about us. There's way too much ego in this business. We want to tell people how good we are. I'll give you a quick story. There was an agent that joined me. She actually joined me as a listing coordinator. She came from another company, a competitor in the marketplace that was really high-producing broker. And she worked for her for years and years and years. And she came to join our organization. And she shadowed me on the first listing appointment day one when she joined. And I was on the listing appointment. And afterwards, I asked her, I said, how did it go? What'd you think? She said, well, number 1, it was really good, but I'm confused. I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, you've been number 1 in the area year after year. You have this, you have this. She named all the things of why she joined our organization. She said, you didn't mention any of that in the listing presentation. I said, because it's not about me. It's about her. I said, did she sign the listing contract? She said, oh, yeah, it went great. I said, well, what did you expect? She's like, I don't know. My previous company, they just went in and showed a ranking sheet and said, hey, I sell more houses in your neighborhood than anyone else. List with me. I said, and who do you think would have won if we were competing? Because I built a relationship with the human. Allow them to be the hero of their own story. Remove your ego. You are the guide, they are the hero. Number 5, great salespeople ask great questions. Really simple. Guys, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should be listening twice as much as you're talking. Self-discovery is the number 1 way to get a human being to make a choice and to take action. You don't get a star because you know the answer to the test. You should be 3 or 4 steps ahead in the conversation anyway with the sophisticated communication framework. You should know where the conversation is going because guess what? You're leading them down the path. And instead of you saying the answer that you know, what if they say it? Which one's more powerful? Because if they say it, they actually hear it. I spent a lot of time here because this is good. Are you a real estate team leader that is frustrated, dealing with unproductive agents, loss of revenue, market shifts, or maybe you feel like I've felt and beating your head against the wall, trying to grow your team, or maybe even keep your team together? Well, good news, I may have your solution. Matt Smith here with Matt Smith Real Estate Group. I'm also partnered with John Cheplack and Cheplack Life Coaching. And after starting my team in my basement, growing it to the number 1 team in Missouri, serving over 4,000 families, being an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company 3 years in a row, I made a decision to contribute. I made a decision to be a coach and share what has worked for me so that you can learn from my mistakes and I can help you skip some of those painful mistakes that I made along the way. It's no surprise that the market we're in right now is tough. And there's a lot of team leaders that are struggling right now. I want to give you a lifeline. I want to give you some proven, practical tactics and strategies that have worked for me and my team, and also a lot of our coaching clients that we are helping navigate this market and not just maintain, but even grow in this challenging marketplace. For the last 2 years, I've coached team leaders across North America, helping them reach and exceed their goals and grow their business. One of the things that I think is important, that is a common thread in the people that have the privilege of coaching, is the speed of the leader determines the pace of the pack. One of the things that I found is most important, and I've got personally coaching with John Cheplack, is learning the leadership language and learning how to become a better leader and apply those principles in my organization. I believe in contribution and giving back to this industry that's given so much to me. So if you like what you hear on this podcast and you feel like you're in alignment with some of the things that I share here for free, but you want a little bit more, you want to learn more, you want some more guidance, you want some more tactics, some more strategies, send me a text. Text Discovery Call to 573-261-6778. Again, text Discovery Call 573-261-6778. And we will set up a completely free discovery call where we can dive into your business, your struggles, your challenges, and to see if coaching is a good opportunity for you.
Let's actually really unpack this. It's 4 against 1. As an agent, you're fighting against the election. As an agent, you're fighting against the interest rates. As an agent, you're fighting against the war going on in the Middle East. As an agent, you're fighting against, probably fourth, but the most important, the gossip and the conversations happening at the water cooler. How many people are playing victim? And how many people are saying, woe is me and poor me and it's not fair? Don't get sucked in. People blaming the leads, blaming the economy, blaming whoever they're going to vote for the election, blaming the interest rates. The reality is, I understand it's difficult. I get it. I feel for you. I'm in it. I promise you, I understand. But the reality is, if you don't focus on solutions and all you care about is the problems, and you don't actually want to solve any of those problems, you're just whining. So don't let that gossip, that whining overtake your life. I'm going to give you tips and tricks and things that will help you work through this and share and unpack what's working for agents that are winning at a very, very high level. All right, so let's talk about the work that's required. Number one, if I'm an agent right now, what do I need to do to get into action? I'm going rapid fire today. Number one, you need standards. What is your daily minimum standard of activity that you have for yourself? What is the work that is required of you today to win the day today? Not, oh, this week I'd like to kind of sort of do this. If I sell this year, that'd be okay. I'd kind of like to sort of make this amount of money. Specific, detailed. What is the action that you can control that you need to take today to win the day today? And guess what else matters? Nothing until you get that done. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but we find excuses not to do the work that is required, especially when we have those 4 things we're fighting against. It's way easier to go see on social media and see what someone said about the presidential candidate and the debate this and the war that and the interest rate this and so said this, right? But reality is control what you can control. Control the controllables. What you can control is the activity you choose to do or choose not to do. So how do we develop that daily minimum standard of activity that is required? First and foremost, look at your body of work. Go back the last 90 days, watch your game film, see how many phone calls you made, see how many conversations you had, how many text messages you sent, how many of clients you met with, how many you signed, how many are under contract, and how many you closed. I lost a lot of you right there. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to track my numbers in this business? If you want it to be repeatable, duplicatable, scalable, then yes, absolutely you do. But if you don't have those numbers, don't freak out. I've got a framework to get you started. Just be sure that you track as you go. So here's what I'm seeing working for agents that are winning. Their metric, their daily minimum standard of activity starts with something very, very simple that everyone can do. 4 2-minute conversations logged in the CRM every day. 5 days a week. Real estate is a contact sport. How many 2-minute conversations are you having with prospects, with leads, with follow-ups, with clients, with friends and family about referrals? How many real estate conversations are you having per day and per week? The more conversations you have, the more stones you turn over, the more opportunities you will get. I'll be honest, 20 conversations a week sounds pretty easy, right? It is. We just find other ways and excuses to talk out of that's not what we need to do. We have this other thing that we can do that's more important. We have this gossip we can talk about. We have this fire from this other client. We have this social media thing that we got to do. And I'm not saying that social media doesn't work. I'm not saying there's not other fires you got to deal with. I understand. Let's go back to how I started. Until you get your daily minimum standard of activity done, nothing else matters. Do the hard shit first. Get your conversations out of the way. Then do your hard shit in the morning. It gets the rest of the day. It's a breeze. It's easy. Agents, stay with me here. How many of you have had a day where you had the best intentions? I'll do my prospecting this afternoon. You know what? I'll wait till people are off work. I've got a better chance of them picking up the phone. So I'm going to wait to do my calls then. And then you wait and you push it off. You procrastinate. You find other stuff to do that's probably unproductive if we're honest. And then 5 o'clock comes when you're supposed to make your calls. Well, now you're dealing with a client fire. Now you're dealing with this. Now you're dealing with that. Or you're just tired. You had a rough day. Someone got mad at you, whatever. And you find an excuse not to make those calls. And then you got to do it again tomorrow. Don't negotiate with your goals. Don't negotiate with your standards. It takes what it takes. It takes work. Work is required. On a side note, agents that are winning at an extremely high level, that number is 35 2-minute conversations per week, not 20. That's your information. If you don't have the data, start there. Next, after the work, you got to have skills. You got to have skills. Yes, it takes the will or the willingness to do the work, but you also need to be skilled. The problem with skills is most people misinterpret it, and they think I learned skills by going to training. Man, Matt, if you would teach me more, I would sell more real estate. The reality is most agents don't need more training. Most agents are actually overtrained. As a matter of fact, you don't get better. You don't gain skills by attending a training. You don't gain skills by attending a training. You get better by putting that training into action. It takes what it takes. Stop skipping the work. Stop looking for something that is the shiny object. You want to get skilled? Let's find someone that you admire in your office, in your market, that is just really, really good at converting leads, or really, really good with the client, or you overheard a conversation, you were blown away with a speech they gave, a training they did, and go back and look at their last 5 years journey. I guarantee you they put in work to develop that skill. You see, the good thing about skill, the good thing about this that I'm talking about, everyone can learn it. It is a learned trait. Anyone can learn any skill. This is a skill that you can acquire, but it takes the work. You can't skip the work. As a reminder, it takes what it takes. Guys, we can't delegate our push-ups. The work is required. And the work is how you build the skill. Hope some of these tactics and this mindset helped you. I'm going to close on this. Which agent's going to win in today's marketplace? Agent A that sits back, whines, complains, plays the victim, says it's not fair, and doesn't do the work, doesn't build the skill. Or the agent that takes action, knowing they don't know everything, knowing there's unknowns, but they're willing to do the work and figure it out along the way. Which of those agents wins in today's marketplace? My last question, which agent will you be? Guys, as always, I appreciate all your support. This podcast is a movement to give back to this industry. I hope you found this valuable. If you did, continue help growing this. Our last podcast last week was actually our most downloaded in a long time. So it's continuing to grow and grow and grow. So I hope you found this week valuable as well. If you did, share it with a friend. Send this to someone that would help. And if there's anything I can ever do for you guys, I'm here to be a resource. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.